popular commodities. A €182 billion a year industry on which 125 million people around the world rely on for their livelihoods. Since its discovery by a shepherd in the 9th century, coffee is now a global institution and the pick-me-up fuel of choice for hundreds of millions. 2.3 million cups of coffee are drank every minute. And if Ireland was known for its love of a cup of tea, it is far more likely that today Father Ted's housekeeper, Mrs. Doyle, would be urging the priests on Craggy Island to drink her barista brew rather than her Barry's.
Everybody else is having a cup, would you not have one yourself?
Today, coffee drinking is worth some €650 million a year in Ireland, and we spend an average of €130 per person every year on coffee. In short, the humble bean is big business. But is it sustainable? For many of us, it is hard to imagine starting a day without a pick-me-up in the form of a coffee, be it from the service station bean-to-cup machine or from the local barista and the chalkboard backdrop of ever-bewildering brews. But most of us have never given it more than a second thought on how the bean got here or the history that put it in our cup. And while we may be happy to hand over the guts of €3 or €4 every day for a brew, precious little of that makes its way back to the person clinging to a tropical mountainside to pick it. To understand the true cost of our cappuccino, we need to understand the coffeenomics behind it and the sheer amount of production, processing and transportation that goes into getting our grande latte. The first stage of our coffee takes us to regions of the world where coffee can actually be grown. It's a fickle plant, a Goldilocks. For it to thrive, it needs to be hot, but not too hot, sunny, but not too harsh, and wet, but only when it needs it. Oh, and it likes a long, cool evening, but frost wipes it out. It's no surprise then that there are few places where it can actually shine, and these tropical climates are household names. The starting point for the humble coffee bean more often than not starts on a family farm, regardless of whether it is destined for a specialty brew, a pod or a cupboard jar. Nico Sanko, head roaster at Bell Lane Coffee Roaster in Mullingar, County Westmeath, explains what happens next.
So the journey of coffee is quite interesting. We quite often, forget how hard it is to, how hard is that journey from the producing countries to get a coffee into the cup, because it's so convenient for us. Like we have it every day, it's quick and fast. The coffee is grown by the farmers and producers. Coffee grows on trees. It's a cherry. And basically what we drink actually is the stones from that cherry. Cherries are picked, cleaned, processed, sorted, choosing only the proper ripe cherries with no defects. And then they have to go through the process of fermentation.
And no matter whether your coffee is destined for a huge brand or a small artisanal coffee shop, many farmers have less than 5 acres of land, and it's usually a family affair.
It's not just one farmer. Usually there's a farmer, there's the whole family is working, the pickers who come during the season, so there's quite a lot of people involved and quite a lot of work goes in, and everybody needs to be paid, a wage and to make a living and have a decent life.
Once the sprouted bean is planted at the farm, there is still another long wait of around 2 years until you get a crop. And the price per cup for the farmer for all this effort? 7 cents.
So if the message when you travel and meet a lot of producers are always the pricing is not fair, well, that means it's not fair.
In the past, small holdings have been left to the mercy of the wholesale markets. But specialty roasters like Bell Lane are among those buying direct from producers and guaranteeing their crop for anything up to 5 years. This was essential for Brazilian smallholder Heron Reger at his farm Cantagala. Heron was nearly wiped out when domestic demand and local prices crashed, but his deal with the Mullingar roaster saved his livelihood.
At least with what we are doing here, producers are getting paid the price actually that pays for their hard work, pays for the production cost, and also, to pays for the life of the people working on the farms.
But the hard work for the farmers isn't over yet. The bean still has a long way to go.
So it's quite a long process only of drying, which can take we can take 16, it can take to 28 days. After drying, all that husk needs to be removed, the coffee needs to be stored, color sorted and color sorted again for any defected beans or any black beans or any beans that are not matching the quality. And we are still in the producing country, right?
And if they pass the bar for export, they are packed into 60 kilo bags. This adds 16 cents to our cup, bringing our total tally to 23 cents. If this seems laborious, it's because it is. All this effort has produced just a green bean, ready for export. It's still a long way from the cardboard cup that will kickstart the commute. It takes roasters to give it the flavours that we desire.
So at that point on, we get a coffee comes to the roastery, it's still not ready, we need to roast it. Obviously first we need to profile, we need to find the right profile for the coffee, and then after that it's ready to be sold. Profiling can be quite one of the most important jobs we roasters have. The profiling means finding the right, let's say, recipe, how the coffee needs to be roasted.
The cost to the likes of Bell Lane and other Irish roasters can add another 35 cents to our cup of coffee. Our brew now brims out at 58 cents. Throw in delivery to supermarkets, coffee shops or homes, and we can add another 4 cents, bringing the cup to 62 cents. So how come we expect little change from €3 when we dive into a cafe or a garage for our coffee? By far the biggest cost of coffee comes from the cafe culture that has grown up around it. Retail costs add a whopping €2.18, including their markup. This covers everything from the comfy sofas and rented Main Street premises, the mood lighting, the baristas, to the piped music. Even the wooden stirrers at 2 cents and those cups, 12 cents, add to the final tally. And the profit for the cafe for this marathon journey that ends up in a paper cup with a misspelt name, 44 cents. Is this a fair return for the farmers? And is it sustainable? There are some who think it isn't. And in Ireland, specialty coffee roasters have sprung up to cut out the middleman and give something back.
They're putting so much work. I can't stress how much work they're putting in that actually, I think us roasters and baristas, we need to do them justice. We need to actually, showcase their work and highlight actually what they're trying to achieve with their coffees.
And it's paying off. It seems savvy coffee lovers, looking for the best brew, don't want the sour taste of a farmer being ripped off, ruining their morning ritual. They are looking to roasters like Bell Lane, who proudly wear their direct relationships with growers on their sleeve.
Working closely with the producer, there's always something good happens. We find new ideas, new things to experiment about, maybe different approaches to processing, and actually that reflects in something really, really amazing. So they're getting recognition for what they do.
But just how long can our love affair with coffee last? European coffee cafe culture is not the only market wanting more. China and the Asian markets are also driving demand, with the price of coffee on an unstoppable trajectory. Its price has risen for 15 months in a row, and consumption across Asia has increased by 30% in the last 5 years alone. Will our everyday drink become a thing of the past as prices soar?
I think the way how we enjoy coffee over the next maybe couple of decades is going to change. I don't think we're going to enjoy coffee as a commodity anymore, that we're going to just consume it as something that we have. I think that's going to change.
And worse may yet be to come. Climate change means that the regions where coffee can be grown are shrinking, as tropical mountainsides heat up.
For me, it was shocking. I never thought of the global warming in coffee until I went to Honduras, and we were in Capucas, and talking about what the challenges producers have, and they said, well, Nico, now we are at 1,400 meters. It's getting hotter. The coffee is maturing faster, obviously reflecting on a lower cup. But however, there's only as high as we can go.
Is it really possible that coffee will cease to be our daily driver? Has the age of the endless refill come to an end? With demand sending prices through the roof, and the climate threatening to roast the beans before we do, it seems our pick-me-up is running out of places to grow.